Welcome to this Vlog3 concerning skills and capacities in the Olympic back squat. So it is evident when we look at the different techniques in the squat that the front squat has a more upright back position than the back squat and the low bar back squat on the right. The center of mass, the barbell, should be over the area of the midfoot, which is the base of support, here indicated by the dotted line. The low bar back squat has a more vertical shin angle, lending to a smaller angle between the femur and the back, and thereby potentially increasing the stress on the lower back. So here's Daniel, former gymnast now turned runner. He has very limited squatting experience, so I'd suspect his squatting skill is lacking. We see by the red arrows that his hips are displaced far backwards, and the blue arrows indicate that his elbows flare up. He initiates the movement by unlocking the hips and sitting quite far backwards, as opposed to the technical model of the Olympic back squat, where you unlock the hips and let the hips and knees move simultaneously, thus allowing the knee and shins to go further forward. On this still image we can observe good squatting depth by the athlete. This comes primarily from good hip mobility, as his knees and shins are not allowed to translate sufficiently anteriorly. This provides a low femur to back angle, and coupled with the center of mass being in front of the base of support, indicated by the blue line, gives him a thoracic kyphosis, which will put excessive strain on his lower back. When looking at the schematic of the skills and capacities, in the bottom left corner we know that the athlete does not have any familiarity with the exercise. So to investigate if this movement pattern is the same in other exercises, we now have the athlete front squatting. This to see if the movement pattern is still suboptimal or if there is an underlying capacity issue. The front squat shows that the athlete still employs the same motor program for doing the squat pattern. So here we can see by the red arrows that his behind moves very much backwards. So whether it's a front squat or a back squat, he still uses the same movement pattern to go into the squat by excessively flexing his hips, making his lumbar back at risk of injury. On the left image we see that the angle between the femur and the back is very low, and the center of mass is in front of the base of support as in the back squat. I propose that the unfamiliarity of the skill for this athlete, coupled with an underlying historical capacity issue, makes the athlete choose an unsound movement solution. The image in the middle shows the distance from the athlete's feet to his iliac crest, which is 113 centimeters. This is twice the length of his torso, making his legs very long in proportion with his upper body. His leg length will displace his center of gravity backwards when squatting, creating a sense of falling backwards, which forces him to flex his hips excessively and bend the thoracic spine to maintain a balanced center of gravity over his base of support. So comparing Daniel to Dennis on the right, who is a former Danish boxing champion, we see that Dennis does not get much depth when squatting, but he does allow for a more simultaneous movement of the hip and knee joints than Daniel, who primarily flexes his hips. If we observe a comparison of the bottom position of the squat, both athletes have similar shin angles, but Dennis holds the center of mass more in line with the base of support. In general, Dennis's angles from shin to femur and femur to back are much larger than Daniel's. It could be speculated that Dennis's trunk size would be a capacity problem, stopping his hip flexion due to soft tissue restrictions. I had Dennis do deep walking lunges, as this will easily tell if there is any mobility problems in the lower extremity. As we observe, his left knee is allowed much more forward than the right, confirmed by the angular measures. This suggests problem in either knee or ankle in the right side, as this pattern protects the knee or ankle from excessive forces associated with further range. To summarize, Daniel had a historical capacity issue with his anthropometrics, making him choose a less optimal motor strategy. So his underlying capacity problem became a skill problem. Dennis had familiarity in back squatting, but his issues in the right knee and ankle region suggest a mobility problem, maybe due to pain. So this capacity problem, not associated with his trunk size, can lead to a less optimal motor strategy in his future back squatting.